to his chance, and Richie Wellens has scored. Goodness me! In the 5th minute of additional time, and put Leighton Orient in front, and Leighton Orient have come from behind, and surely have picked up 3 precious points.
Welcome to Orient Live. The O's tango one last time as the curtains draw on the League One campaign, and hopefully it will be a positive result for the O's. It is, of course, in our hands to keep our League One status, and I'm joined here in the studio by Jabbo Abire and Brendan Pitcher. And I mean, I think this is probably, Jabbo, the biggest game we've covered on Orient Live.
Yeah, well, with the circumstances, yeah, definitely. So it's like the final day sort of like drama. It's exciting in a way, but you know, it's not where you kind of want to be. You want to be the opposite end, going for that sort of title winning or promotion.
I mean, it's nervy.
Oh, it definitely is. Like the fact that it's possible, and we've been flirting with it, but we haven't been really in the relegation zone for any real period of time. And to fall into it on the last day, the fact that is a possibility, it is quite nervy. And the only blessing is it's in our hands. We know what we've got to do, and if we do that, it doesn't matter what goes on elsewhere. And I think that is a blessing in itself.
It is tough though, Jabbo. It's hard not to look elsewhere. Obviously, a lot of eyes will be on that Bradford-Exeter game. It's at St James's Park in Exeter. Yes, it's in our hands, but I think we'll be refreshing this. Because as a player though, looking at today's game in isolation, how do you kind of put that out in your mind? How do you really focus on today's task at hand?
Well, I think it all starts in your preparation. You know, you almost turn up to the game and let the game take care of itself, because once you've prepared in the week, you just have to go out there with all your energy and do the best you can. So most of the time, we've only ever been in this situation once before where we had to get a result on the last day of the season. And when you start, it's just like your energy's all over the place. Honestly, you're a bit nervous. You touch the ball, but you need to get the first things right. Your first pass, your first touch, and then that builds into it, and then you go on from there. But you definitely feel the nervous energy, and often when you hear sort of the reports, or you hear the crowd go a bit quiet, you can tell what's going on elsewhere, and the crowd has to remain positive because that can seep into the players on the pitch.
I mean, it must be really tricky though. I'm thinking back to up the other end of the table, but when we back in 2006, where we were hearing results from around the grounds come in, and then we go on to score. But I mean, it's so different today, and managing those nerves and managing kind of the situation is going to play a big part in the actual game itself. Yeah,
it definitely does, and it's about just a mentality today. You know, it's about going out there with the right attitude, leaving the nerves behind once you do your first sort of sequences on the ball, and letting it. And like Brendan said, the great thing is in our hands, and that's the most important thing. It's interesting how we found ourselves here, considering a few weeks ago we were on a little bit of a roll, but we're here now. It's literally about just taking the game as it comes, rolling up our sleeves, dogging, being sharp, being first to everything, and then taking it from there and see what happens.
Absolutely. Right, we're going to take a look at the home side very shortly, but first let's hear from the gaffer. It's Richie Wellens.
Gaffer, it all comes down to this massive game against Burton on Saturday. How ready do you feel for it?
Well, the players have trained really well this week, but they trained well last week before the Blackpool game, and we didn't turn up for the first 20-25 minutes. So we need to make sure that come Saturday, it's the most important time. 3 o'clock, the players turn up and are ready to carry out what we want to do. But more than anything, show heart, show fight, start at a tempo, and it's down to us to anything that we need to achieve on Saturday. It's down to us. We don't need to think about anything external, anything about anybody else, but we need to turn up and we need to do it.
Speaking on Friday morning, we've had a couple of days training here this week at the stadium. How important is that, and what's the thinking behind that?
Well, we want to try and get in environmental vision, so they're doing it in the strikers have scored goals at the stadium for the last 3 days. Obviously it's a better pitch here, we've got better facilities, better food afterwards, so that's the thinking behind it. But more so that the fact that the players have trained all week, we've worked on the same pitch as what we're going to play on, the distance is the same, what we want to do, so hopefully they can, 3 o'clock Saturday, they still have visions of that and they can go and replicate it.
You said about the heart and the battling qualities that are going to be needed. How do you get that message into the players this week?
We can message it all we want. It has to come from within each individual player. And when you can do it and you demand off your teammate, whether that's constructive and it's a well done or it's come on, we need more. But start the game off well. I think when we start games well, we're not a bad team. We can't start slow and then have to find our way out of it. So yeah, our front three need to turn up, our front players need to turn up, start us off, and then we need to play with a tempo all over the pitch. Whether it's a throw-in, get there quickly, get it in, and we need to make sure that we're on the front foot. We use our home advantage, get the crowd involved. We've not done that in recent home games, and hopefully we can start on the front foot and score some goals.
Right then, let's take a look and see how the O's shape up for this afternoon's fixture against Burton Albion. Starting in goal for the O's, it's Will Dennis. It's a back four as well, with James Morris and Michael Craig starting in the fullback positions. Jack Simpson partners the captain, Will Forrester. Azim Abdullah is alongside Sean Clare, with Aaron Connolly and Dimitri Mitchell in the wide positions. Charlie Wellens plays just behind Don Ballard, who leads the line. And on the bench is Killian Cahill, Tom James, Dan Happy, Idris El-Mazouni, Tyreek Bakinson, Sonny Perkins and Dylan Levitt. What do we make of it, Brendan?
Yeah, on paper it looks strong enough to do the job. I think ideally we'd have a couple of players back from injury. I think El-Mazouni and Theo Archibald are, I mean, El-Mazouni's on the bench, but it's still not going to get 90 minutes out of him, and you'd hope that you'd have someone like Theo out there. But you look at that team and you think it should be strong enough to beat a team like Burton, who are up until recently down there with us. They secured their safety last weekend, and we beat them 4-0 away from home. So there should be no fear today. I think that team is good enough, provided they have the right motivation and they play the right way, to get a result today.
And we're going to have to really, Jabbo, listen, I know it's all talk and we've said it for the last couple of games, but with Aaron Connolly, with Don Ballard, with Dimitri Mitchell now, so back four, we need to, we touched on it already, but don't worry about what's happening down in Exeter. Go and get 3 goals before half time. Put it to bed early doors.
That's it, definitely, because you know, in terms of Burton, their season's over. They've done their job. They're on the beach already. So if we hit them fast and get some early strikes and goal, they'll just be like, oh, just want to get through this game and be on holiday. So you have to use those things, that mentality to your advantage, and you have to start fast, sharp, get strikes and goal, and try and get an early goal. And
I think that's a really good point that Joe makes in terms of. I think back to 2 weeks ago against Rotherham, and I made the point about what have they got to play for, and we let them grow into the game, and the fact that they had very little motivation to play that game. They were already relegated. They were in a bit of disarray, but because of the fact we didn't quite start in a great manner, they grew into the game, they got confidence, and then it becomes a proper football match. And I think Richie spoke about in his pre-match about the fact that we want a fast start, and Jabbo spoke about it there. If we can get on them early and pin them back, these Burton players, they're not going to have the motivation to be like, we want to play this way, we want to battle here, we want to. They should give up easily, but you've got to start easy. You've got to start fast. You've got to get them in that position, and you can't give them a sniff early on.
Brendan makes me nervous because he was calling the Rotherham game a couple of weeks ago the easiest game on paper of the season.
It was. It still was. I still stand by it.
And we obviously saw how that turned out. So you know, you can look at it and you go, Burton are on the beach. They've secured their safety, but really at the end of the day, that can all go out the window in the first 5 minutes.
I mean, it really can. I mean, you can look at it 2 ways. That Burton are nothing to play for, so they're going to be relaxed, and the nervousness is going to be with us, and that could then, you know, impede how we can perform today. But ultimately, like I said, as a player, sometimes you come to the end of the season and half thinking, yeah, when the game's over, I'm off to the airport, you're gone, sort of thing. So you just want to get through the game injury-free, and that's where the Burton players would be at. You know, that's where the mind's at. And Orient we're dearly playing for something today, playing for our League One status. And as long as we start fast and be at them from the first whistle, it will work, and we'll be all over it.
Let's talk about that front 3 then, really. Don Ballard and Aaron Connolly are probably 2 of the best attackers in the division. Yeah. I mean, we want to go out there and get goals and get them early.
Yeah, definitely. I think we've got the firepower there with those 3, including Mitchell as well. There's, like you say, there's enough firepower there. There's Don Ballard, who has swept all of the awards for League One. He won't want a relegation on his CV. He won't want that all to be for nothing. And there's Aaron Connolly, who, I mean, it was difficult for him last week against Blackpool because he's coming back from injury. There's so much pressure on him because I know how he must feel, because it must be the fact that I remember the game against Rotherham when he came on, the whole stadium applauded, it lifted. There's that sense of expectation because he's such a good player that he's the one that's got to deliver. But I hope it's tough because it's obviously such a big game today. But I hope he can relax a little bit, play his natural game, and hopefully he's 100% fit because Aaron Connolly from the start of the season, when he was fit and firing, was too much for any League One defender, and him and Ballard together, if they can produce that kind of link-up play, it should be too much for Burton.
I mean, as we'll see from some clips here, Jabbo, Aaron is a match winner. There's make no bones about it. He's probably, if he hadn't been injured, the best player in the division. He's incredible.
Yeah, and it's good to see him back and in perfect timing because you need match winners today. You need people to produce something out of nothing in moments where the game goes a bit silent, and he's got this ability to line players up and then whip dangerous balls into the box and get on the end of things. And it's perfect time that he's back, and just long as he that hair just drifting past people, always nice for a goal, very positive with his stuff, and it's great to see him back out there.
I mean, it's Brendan, probably worrying for Burton to see him on the team sheet. They would have probably been hoping that he might have been coming off the bench. But,
yeah, if I'm Burton's right back today, who knows I'm going on holiday as soon as this kick-off final whistle goes, I don't want to face up against Aaron Connolly because he's one of the trickiest players in the division. He's got such great close control. He's one of those players that can produce something out of nothing at this level, and I think he's one of those where if he's fit and firing, we know he's too good for this level. So we just need to keep giving him the ball, keeping him confident. He can't let him get his head down and get a bit disappointed. You just got to keep encouraging him, and I hope the crowd kind of stay with him today in terms of the fact where if he tries something and goes on a run and it doesn't quite come off, I hope the fact they encourage that and say, go again, Aaron, because he could be the difference today between us having survival or not.
Absolutely. Listen, we're talking about going forward and getting goals, and that's, of course, important. But if we think back to our last home game against Rotherham where we gave up a goal quite easily, and defensively it's going to be such an important area.
Yeah, defensively, I mean, they're going to be sort of like the foundation of what we do today, and have to be confident and kind of not show no nerves and just keep it very simple. I think that's the most important thing today. Everyone just do things simple, build into the game, and build that confidence around, and then we'll get that synergy. But hopefully the defence is on point, and they're experienced as well. They've played enough games there. And I think we'll be fine. I honestly think we'll be fine in the end.
And it's really interesting to see how we approach this game because there's got to be a balance there. But ultimately, a draw does nothing for us today. If Exeter win and we draw, we go down. If Exeter don't win, then it doesn't matter if we draw or not. So it's only a win where the status of staying in League One stays in our hands. So it's interesting for Richie today. How does he approach it? Do we play all out and try and start fast and get an early goal and go gung-ho? But does that risk kind of the worst case scenario where Burton come into it and get an early goal themselves? So I'm really intrigued to see how we line this up because it is purely, if we don't win, then a draw is no good for us. So it's a really intriguing balance of a game, and one that I'm sure Richie probably hasn't experienced that much in his career.
I mean, we're hearing the atmosphere to start build out in E10 here. We're seeing shots of the crowd with players finishing their warm-up. We can talk about tactics and ability until the cows come home, Jabbo, but is it about managing the occasion?
It is, totally. It is. It's about everyone in the stadium filling that atmosphere, that positive energy onto the pitch, and the players turning up, rolling up their sleeves and just dying for the cause today. That's it. It's about mentality. It's not about tactics, it's not about this, it's about just putting your head where it needs to go, being positive. When you're in front of goal, take your strikes. Go back to basics, because when you're sometimes lacking that confidence, you sometimes tend to try and overcomplicate things. Just go back to basics, keep it simple, and be positive. And if everyone in the stadium can create that atmosphere, I remember back into that when we played Man City here, and the FA Cup was amazing. The atmosphere was class, and that's what we kind of need today: a great atmosphere. And I think we'll get over the line.
Right then, let's take a listen now to Aaron Connolly's pre-match thoughts as we get his views ahead of this big fixture this afternoon.
Obviously, the club's been good to me since I come here. The fans, obviously, last week when I come on against Rotherham. So nothing's going to motivate me more than trying to keep this team in the league. And there's a reason why I came here. Obviously, I I wanted a playoff push, but that's not the position we're in. I didn't expect to come here and be in this position. I don't think any of the fans did, but that's the way we find ourselves. So I've got to just do whatever I can to keep us up. Like I said, I want to make up for the months I've missed and just keep us in this league. And then who knows, next year we go again. And I think next year, if we can get the job done tomorrow, will be a good one.
We go square, opportunity for Connolly, and it's intercepted. Oh, what a strike! Oh, Aaron Connolly celebrates his 8th of the season.
That reception I got, I don't think I've ever had that at a football club. Maybe at Brighton in my early days when I was playing, but no, obviously my family was here, my girlfriend was here, so they got to see exactly what the fans thought of me. Unfortunately, I couldn't repay them that day, but it's all about tomorrow. Everything we've done in the last few weeks, months, unfortunately has led to this position that we put ourselves in, but at least we can give the fans something to go home happy about, keep us in the division, get 3 points. We don't want to be relying on other results. We just need to do our bit, and hopefully I can play a big part in that.
Finds Charlie Wellens. Wellens with the low pass, it's up to him. And it's Aaron Connolly that has given a late lead. Oh, what a fabulous move. And what a callback from Charlie Wellens. And what a strike from Aaron Connolly.
I know in the last few weeks maybe the push that we've been trying to give towards the fans has maybe been taken in a different light by the fans, that they think, oh, maybe we think they're not doing enough. That's not the case. We just need them more than ever tomorrow. We know we've been disappointing at times this season, but at home in the months at the start of the season we gave them some good memories and good games. The Doncaster one pops to my head, so yeah, we need them more than ever. And for me, I'm excited about tomorrow. I know there's going to be a lot of nerves, but yeah, it's something that I play the game for these type of moments, the pressure moments, and I know tomorrow I'll be able to produce.
Plays it square to Connolly.
Is lunch at work awesome? If so, tune out now. If not, keep listening. Picture this: chef-made meals from local restaurants brought right into your workplace. No sad sandwiches, no tired menus. By tapping into the local restaurant scene, Fuda powers workplace dining for companies across the US, giving teams flavor, convenience, and authenticity. Half of Glassdoor's best places to work have partnered with Fuda. Is your team ready to upgrade its workplace food scene? Find out how at Fuda.com. That's FOODA.com.
Welcome back, and don't forget there is just 10 minutes to go until kick-off, and if you're wanting to follow all of the action with us here on Orient Live today, then you can do that with an audio on match streaming pass. UK fans, you can listen along with Dave, Victor and Matt Hiscock, or if you're watching from overseas, you can follow along with a match pass for just £10. Head over to the match centre on the club website and you can pick up your passes right there. And of course, don't forget we've got some massive savings for you as well on all Puma ranges. You can pick up 50% off every single Puma line in store from 12 o'clock today. So head in there, pick up a shirt, pick up some training wear, pick up whatever you want so long as it's from the Puma line. But right then, let's turn our attention back to today's game and let's see how Burton Albion shape up for this afternoon's fixture. Starting in goal for the Albion. We should have it any second now. We've got number 24, Brad Collins. So back three for them today, we believe, with Alex Hartridge and Jasper Moon partnering the captain, Adoka Godwin Relief. George Evans and Charlie Webster in the middle, with Kyron Lofthouse and Jack Armour in the wing-back positions. John Joshua McKiernan plays in the 10 role, with Fabio Tavares and Jake Beasley up top. And on the bench is Camille Dudek, Toby Sibic, Finderlap, Terence Van Kooten, Suleiman Krubali and Tyrese Shade. They've done very well to stay up this season. I think they were every pundit's pick to be nailed on relegation at the start of the season.
Yeah, definitely. They're a side that had a lot of turnover in the summer. Have Gary Bowyer, who's an experienced operator at the level, but have a couple of players where I really think they could go and play higher, maybe even play in the Championship. Charlie Webster is one of them, but also another one is Tyrese Shade, who has been linked with moves away and is on the bench today. So maybe that gives you a little clue into their motivation and what they're thinking about this game. But it does mean that they've got Charlie Webster out there today, who's a central midfielder. And I remember when he's played Orient numerous times, he's looked like one of the better players on the pitch. So they have got threats. They're very organised. They're solid. They won't be the easiest team to break down if they turn up in the right frame of mind. So I think it's all about that motivation factor. I think if they turn up as the Burton of a couple of weeks ago when they're fighting to stay up, and play that way, this could be a very tricky game. If they turn up and they're on the beach, hopefully we've got enough today to walk through them like we did in the return fixture earlier in the season.
There's rumours about the place that they've maybe taken this week a bit easy, they've been celebrating, but they're probably riding a little bit high off of the fact that they have achieved what they wanted to achieve at the beginning of the season. So, it's not by any stretch of the imagination an easy test.
No, it isn't, because like I said, sometimes as a player when you're relaxed and come to the end of the season and you just know you're going to be on your holidays after the game, you just feel free in the game, so you can end up doing extra things and play with a little bit more confidence and the pressure's off you. So in a game like today, it can actually work against us. But again, it's not about what Burton do, it's about what we do, and we need our front three to attack and go for it and put the burners on them.
I mean, they are or have been in and around the drop zone for a reason, though. So it's not a bad opposition to be playing. We need to take advantage of that.
Yeah, they're not world beaters by any stretch, but if they turn up, they can be solid and difficult to break down. But like we say about the return fixture, this was a Burton side who back then had a lot more motivation, and we tore them apart and won 4-0 away from home. So it's a side that can be got at and does have weaknesses. And if we turn up and show the right attitude, I think we've got the quality today. I think we spoke about the front three earlier. That front three is more than a match for any League One defence, let alone a Burton side who, like you say, that they were down there with us. They're not challenging up the top. They're workmanlike, but they are beatable.
Absolutely. I mean, we saw a clip, I think, of was it Aaron Connolly scoring in the reverse fixture. I think we popped them 4-0, Jabbo. I mean, hopefully we take a bit of that, we take a bit of confidence and we can put their defence under a bit of pressure.
Yeah, like Brendan said, they're where they are for a reason, so we shouldn't fear that. The only thing that adds to it's just the magnitude of the game. But ultimately, they're a team that that have been quite poor for the majority of the season. And if you're going to play a team at the end of the season in a game like this, you'd want it to be a team in and around the relegation zone anyway. So, but I feel I keep saying it's all about us. And if we start well, start fast, start with a real intensity and hunger, then we'll bypass them. Because, like I said, when you've got nothing to play for at the end of the season, you have the confidence, you enjoy the football, but ultimately you just want to get through the game without getting injured and then dust yourself down. So I think it's all about us and what we do.
I mean, there's not really much going on in League One today, Brendan, but let's take a look. It's ourselves or Exeter facing the drop. 2 points separate us, so we need to go out there and seal it for us. Looking around the ground, though, Exeter, of course, played Bradford, who could drop out of the playoffs. I guess that plays into our hands a little bit, but you don't want to be looking around the grounds, do you?
That's the thing. I really hope I'm not sweating over Exeter's result later, but if it does come down to it, I think the fact that they are playing a team with something to play for, unlike us, especially a team like Bradford, who have been in that playoff position all season, they won't want to drop out on the final day. Hopefully that goes in our favour, but like you said, really don't want to be checking the Exeter result at any point past the fact, maybe half time.
It has the feel of a big game, Jabbo. You've seen people scrambling for tickets in different forums and group chats and online. Tickets being sold on the resale. Hopefully it's a packed out Brisbane Road here, and that feeds into the game itself, doesn't it?
Totally. You need Orient faithful here today, and even like earlier you could hear the atmosphere, you could hear people banging the seats, and I think it's going to be great energy, it's going to be a great atmosphere, and it's going to help us get over the line.
I mean, are you confident, Brendan? I've asked that question a few times. My voice started to wave. It does just have that feel about it, doesn't it?
Yeah, I was very confident against Rotherham, and this Orient team burned me that day, so I don't want to go overconfident, but like I've said before, if we play the way we can, with the quality we have in this lineup against the Burton side, with very little motivation, then it should be enough to get the win today. But I don't want to go overboard in my confidence.
And an absolutely stunning day for a game of football as well. We're seeing people out on their balconies enjoying the sunshine. We need to turn this into a good day to be an Orient fan as well. Match that weather. Yeah, definitely. We need to be full energy. Loads of shouting, great atmosphere. You don't want that quietness if you hear something going on somewhere else and you have that silence, that whispering in the stadium. That's what's going to really affect the players. So just keep it positive, keep the energy flowing, and we'll see it through. But Jabbo, you know, it's such an exciting part of the football season. This final day. I mean, here come the teams. How do you ignore what's going on in the stands, hearing any murmurs of scores from around the grounds, and how do you focus on the task in hand? It must be tricky. When you get onto the pitch, you don't really, you're so focused in the game, the sounds, the noise, it clears off. But then in games of this magnitude, you know, if you're not on the front foot, you then begin to hear things, and when there's a silence, you know there's something else going on elsewhere. It does start to feed into you. You start looking around, you look at the bench, see what activity's going on there. So you just have to stay focused, blinkers on, and everyone just stay focused on their job, and we'll get over the line. Right, the sun is shining. The teams are out on the pitch. Hopefully, in an hour, 2 hours' time, so we can all have a nice Guinness and forget that this game ever had to happen. But it is a big one. So let's have Dave Victor and Matt Hiscock tell us all about it. Ladies and gentlemen, it is match day.
Good afternoon and welcome to a sold-out Brisbane Road, bright sunshine, and I spoke to a lot of supporters making my way into the stadium. They were all very, very confident. Are you, Matt Hiscock?
Oh, I'm not sure where that confidence has come from, Dave. Absolutely not. But I just hope that the O's can do a job this afternoon. Might need a favour, of course, from Bradford, but of course the focus will be on ourselves. I like to hear about confidence. Let's hope we see it from the players from the minute the ball is in play.
Absolutely. Now, both sides have made 3 changes for this one, haven't they, Matt?
Yeah, they certainly have. And the O's, interestingly, bring back Michael Craig starting this afternoon. Joining him, Charlie Wellens back in the starting lineup, as is Azim Abdullahi, James Backinson and Levitt, the 3 to drop to the O's bench. And 3 changes, as you say, for Burton, but they've got that comfort. They know they'll be playing League One football next season.
So at AFC Wimbledon, I've just heard the preview and they've named a lot of young players, but this is a very strong Burton Albion side, isn't it?
It is, because I don't think Gary Bowyer's side really have that level of depth, if I'm honest with you, Dave. So I think they are, in terms of options, pretty limited on that front, but there's plenty of experience in this team. It is certainly not a young Burton Albion side. This is an experienced side, and they've got goals. Every player, all bar the goalkeeper, have scored for Burton in the league this season.
Fantastic noise in E10.
Yeah, it is, and say sell out, the game was certainly marketed. Looks as though there's a lot of seats still to be filled if that is to be the case, but there is great noise in E10 this afternoon, and the O's fans have turned up. They're making noise. That's what they were asked to do. Like I say, I just hope the players can repay them on the pitch.
Paul Howard is in charge. He's in charge. When these 2 sides met earlier in the campaign, it was a comprehensive victory for the O's on that occasion, yet to gain a doubles victory this season. Today's a good day to change that, Matt.
Yeah, it certainly is, and on that afternoon, Orient absolutely battered them, and they battered them because of one man, and that man was Aaron